Hello and a warm welcome to Camnet TV World News. I'm your presenter, Namwinga Mwinga. We now look at the news headlines. Ndola Teaching Hospital allegedly runs out of accessories to treat kidney failure. SACOD calls for respect among political players. TIZ worried with too many inconclusive corruption cases. In international news, Biden challenges Trump with Buy American economic plan. In sports news, President Lungu urges fast to resolve differences before FIFA deadline. We take a break. We have more news lined up for you after this.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
And now the news in detail. The Zambia Medicine Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, has re-echoed their appeal to manufacturers of hand sanitizers and the general public to refrain from using methanol or methyl alcohol in the production of alcohol-based sanitizers. ZAMRA Senior Public Relations Officer Christabel Mutale Iliamupu says exposure to methanol through the skin, stomach or lung absorption can cause serious harm or death. She therefore says methanol-based hand sanitizers are not recommended as methanol easily permeates into the skin and is known to cause systematic toxicity if used frequently and in high quantities. According to the Methanol Institute, public health agencies world over have reported that the methanol has a weak ability to kill viruses when compared to other alcohol, but can be toxic to humans. The recommended active ingredients for production of hand sanitizer is ethanol and isopropyl alcohol. Here is a report.
We wish to reaffirm our appeal to manufacturers of hand sanitizers to refrain from using methanol or methyl alcohol in the production of alcohol-based hand sanitizers. This is because exposure to methanol through skin, stomach, or lung absorption is harmful and can cause death. Therefore, methanol-based hand sanitizers are not recommended as methanol easily permeates through the skin and is known to cause systematic toxicity if used frequently and in high quantities. According to the Methanol Institute, public health agencies world over have reported that methanol has a weak ability to kill viruses when compared to other alcohol, but that can be toxic to humans. Additionally, outbreaks of methanol poisoning have occurred world over due to consumption of informally, illicitly produced or adulterated alcohol beverages and spirits. So the recommended active ingredients for alcohol-based hand sanitizers are ethanol and isopropyl alcohol and should be formulated according to the recommended guidelines that manufacturers can find on the ZAMRA website, which is www.zamra.co.zm.
Ndola Teaching Hospital has allegedly run out of essential medical supplies for patients with renal failure. Green Party President Peter Sinkamba says reports reaching him indicate that beginning today, 10th June 2020, patients on dialysis will not be attended to due to shortages in the medical supplies. Mr. Sinkamba has since called on government to purchase these supplies to prevent premature deaths for the many Zambians that depend on dialysis for a living.
We wish to reaffirm our appeal to manufacturers of hand sanitizers to refrain from using methanol or methyl alcohol in the production of alcohol-based hand sanitizers. This is because exposure to methanol through skin, stomach, or lung absorption is known to cause systematic toxicity if used frequently and in high quantities. According to the Methanol Institute, public health agencies world over have reported that the methanol has a weak ability to kill viruses when compared to other alcohol, but that can be toxic to humans. Additionally, outbreaks of methanol poisoning have occurred world over due to consumption of informally, illicitly produced or adulterated alcohol beverages and spirits. So the recommended active ingredients for alcohol-based hand sanitizers are ethanol and isopropyl alcohol and should be formulated according to the recommended guidelines that manufacturers can find on the ZAMRA website, which is www.zamra.co.zm.
Renal failure is a condition in which the kidney loses the ability to remove waste and balance of fluids. The condition has three main treatments, one of them being dialysis. This type of treatment uses a machine to clean blood, which can be done at health centers and at home. The machine, not common to many, has proved to be expensive, hence making the patients depend on health centers. Once the treatment is not done for a long time, it may be detrimental to many and lead to death. Ndola Teaching Hospital has allegedly been reported short of supply in these medical equipment. Green Party President Peter Sinkamba tells Camnet News that he obtained information about the shortage of these supplies. He is therefore calling on governments to ensure that the supplies are bought before lives are lost.
We have received disturbing reports from Ndola Teaching Hospital that the hospital has run out of critical accessories required for patients that have renal problems or kidney problems. We understand that patients have been told that starting tomorrow, the 10th of July, the stocks will run out, and subsequently patients have been told not to be going to the hospital because those facilities which they require, the accessories which they require for them to be attended to for dialysis have run out. And we understand that this is now a national problem. Most of the hospitals that have dialysis capability have been rendered to have no adequate stocks of accessories required, such as liners and backups. And we demand that the Ministry of Health should immediately restock so that we do not have a lot of people dying from renal problems or kidney problems. You know, we may see a number of BID cases escalating starting next week. And in this COVID-19 era,
Meanwhile, efforts to get a comment from the Ndola Provincial Health Director, Dr. Robert Zulu, proved futile by broadcast time as he directed us to the Ministry of Health spokesperson. Dr. Zulu further said that he does not respond to anonymous calls and therefore we should call the Ministry of Health. However, the Ministry of Health spokesperson, Dr. Ebo Caballo's phone went unanswered.
So it's an anonymous reporter.
Anonymous report.
Yes. Is our spokesperson.
Okay, so I should call the spokesperson. You're not in the capacity to answer?
To discuss anonymous reports, no.
Okay.
Anonymous reports are not discussed.
Oh.
Because it means people are hiding in anonymous things. This is a public institution. Public institutions, people come out publicly if they want to support them. But if you're anonymous, how can we help?
Okay.
If someone says, I am Gertrude, I discovered that the window pane is broken, we can help. But if you say anonymous, how do we discuss? We are the spokesperson of that document.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government says it supports development by higher learning institutions with regards to e-learning. Speaking during the launch of the UNZA online registration system, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Higher Education, Kayula Siame, says the platform will offer the same qualifications as attained during physical classes. Dr. Ms. Siame says UNZA has a growing mix of students globally, adding that the portal will help meet the needs of international students and those with busy schedules but want to upgrade their qualifications. She explains that the portal will also reduce physical contacts in the COVID-19 era and beyond.
Education being the backbone of development and with increased ICT space, the University of Zambia has launched an online registration portal which will allow students register for higher education from anywhere in the world. University of Zambia Vice Chancellor Professor Luke Momba is confident that the platform will allow more people to enroll and attend higher education.
Zambia has scored at both fronts. We now have a fully operational one-stop shop for inquiries and support to all schools and programs under the Customer Service Center. We have positioned our Customer Service Center towards what we now want to be known for, namely efficiency and a great student experience. Our customer service center is today UNZA's most powerful recruitment and retention hub. The UNZA One-Stop Customer Service Center is indeed the front line for great Eastbrook.
Officiating at the launch, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Higher Education, Kayula Siame, says government is keen on seeing online education upscaled not only in this COVID-19 period but beyond. She is hopeful that the online portal will allow students both in the country and outside the country enroll at the University of Zambia, adding that the clientele base for the University of Zambia is growing.
The other universities that have not yet set up an online registration system to also copy what the University of Zambia has done. Not only the public universities, but even the private universities. Because our vision is to ensure that all universities have a system that is online for the registration and also for the management of students' records, so that the students themselves are able to access, they're able to see what is going on, they're able to get this feedback online, they're able to make payments online, and they're also able to learn online. So this is the vision going forward, and this is a good step in that direction, and we look forward to seeing how you move to the next level. And also just to once again congratulate you, Vice Chancellor, congratulate your team for a job well done, and to assure you that as a ministry we will ensure that we inform all other institutions, all other national organizations that the University of Zambia has that capacity. If they need to develop systems, any systems that are related to ICT platforms.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Transparency International Zambia has called for concerted efforts from all stakeholders, including ordinary citizens, in order to fight against corruption. In a speech read on behalf of TIZ President Ruben Lifuka, TIZ member Dr. Dauti Chibamba says citizens more than ever before needed to hold public leaders accountable in the manner they discharged their functions. Dr. Chibamba says it is unfortunate that perpetrators of many unanswered questions, such as the 51 miracle houses, the Mukula trees, the Michael Chilufya Sata Toll Plaza, and many other corrupt incidences have gone scot-free without being brought to book. He therefore said that as TIZ joins the rest of the African continent on 12th of July 2020 to commemorate the Anti-Corruption Day under the theme Fighting Corruption and Effective and Efficient Judicial Systems, efforts to fight corruption in Zambia can still be accelerated towards the attainment of the goal.
The AU Anti-Corruption Day is part of the many interventions and initiatives aimed at placing the spotlight on corruption, with a view to rooting out the vice while strengthening democratic principles, institutions, and the rule of law. The ultimate aim is to attain transparency and accountability in the management of public affairs among AU member countries. Unfortunately, the efforts of Africa's leaders in this regard have continued to be largely underwhelming and outrightly uninspiring. As we commemorate the AU Anti-Corruption Day, there are many lessons to be picked and recommendations we can deduce from this year's theme, which is stated as, and I quote, fighting corruption through effective and efficient judicial systems. For us to make considerable progress in the fight against corruption, we need everyone on board. There should be no sacred cows, from an ordinary citizen to the president. We have what it takes to end corruption, but to do this, the selective application of the law needs to come to an end. Perpetrators of the Mukula tree saga are still roaming the streets freely. The case of 48 houses, which later became 51, has almost died a natural death. The Michael Chilufya Sata Toll Plaza saga is still not resolved. The overpriced 42 fire tenders have not been properly explained. So with all these issues still pending, we are concerned that our leaders are expending their energies on non-important issues, such as the undesirable push to amend the Republican Constitution through the controversial Bill 10. We would like to appeal to His Excellency President Edgar Lungu to use this momentous occasion to reconsider his position of not relieving Health Minister Dr. Chilufetitalo of his ministerial duties in the wake of his ongoing court case. We are aware of and subscribe to the principle of presumption of innocence, which is one of the hallmarks of our judicial system. However, I would like to put it to the President that corruption is not only a legal issue, but it is also a moral issue.
We now take our first set of commercials. Do join us for more news after this.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Nsika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Nsika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099, +260 962 444 726, or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Camnet TV. Camnet, not just another channel. And now the rest of the news. Campaigns have started in the Chiengi local by-elections as 3 political parties successfully fired in their nominations on the 9th of July, coming up with a final list of Kalonge James of the National Democratic Congress Party NDC, Kapotwe Rabom of the United Party for National Development, and Lombe Benson of the Patriotic Front. The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has indicated that polls in the Katete ward will be taken on the 30th day of July 2020. Choma Central Member of Parliament Cornelius Mwetwa has refused to apologize to the Vice President Inonge Wina for calling her shallow and shameful. Honorable Mwetwa was asked to apologize to the Vice President by the Speaker of National Assembly, Dr. Patrick Matibini, on the floor of Parliament on grounds that the VP should be accorded the respect she deserves, being the second on command. Mr. Mwetwa, in his defense, said what he said about the VP was a fact and within his rights, adding that asking him to apologize will be an infringement on his freedom of expression. We have more in this report.
United Party for National Development Choma Central Member of Parliament Cornelius Mweta this morning steered debate not only in Parliament but outside as well. This was after Honourable Mweta refused to apologise to Vice President Inonge Wina for what the Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Patrick Matibini, deemed as demeaning statements. Mr. Mweta described the Vice President's statements as shameful and shallow for blaming the opposition in the national incidences such as the gassing incident that hit the country late last year into early part of 2020. Mr. Mweta refused to apologize after the Speaker, Dr. Patrick Matibini, found him guilty of alleged demeaning statements on a named broadcast platform and print media. Dr. Matibini said the statement was an attack on the Vice President's persona and that Mr. Mweta breached the parliamentary rules.
To describe Her Honor the Vice President, and in view of the position she holds as Vice President of the Republic of Zambia and leader of government business in the House, your description of her in those terms were demeaning and highly disrespectful. As a long-serving member of this august House, it is most unfortunate that you conducted yourself in the manner you did. And your misconduct has the potential of lowering the integrity and decorum of this House. Both as an honorable member, your conduct should be above reproach, both in and outside the House. The House is in this regard extremely displeased with your conduct. I expect that in future you will abide by the rules of the House and avoid such misconduct. A repetition of such misconduct would definitely attract a stiffer penalty. You may proceed to tender your apology.
Mr. Mweta refused to render the apology, stating that apologizing on the matter would be infringing on his freedom of expression.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for inviting me to this House. I was last year in March. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for asking me to come and apologize for a statement I made in reference to the statement made by Her Honor the Vice President in what I believe was in furtherance of my enjoyment of my freedom of speech as entrenched in the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. Mr. Speaker, asking me to apologize is like asking me to stop breathing. I made it abundantly clear to your committee
Honorable member, take a seat. Take a seat. Take a seat.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Southern African Center for Constructive Dialogue, SACOD, is appealing for respect among political players as they engage in multi-democratic dispensations. SACOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe explains that Zambia, being a maturing democracy, must not tolerate a culture of disrespect while communicating or undertaking political activities. Mr. Chembe adds that people react differently and may be violent sometimes when provoked. Hence the need for people to ensure that they stay afloat and avoid unnecessary confrontations.
Well, as SACOD, we regret and condemn what transpired in the Monze district in the southern province of Zambia when the head of state was on tour of duty in that particular district. As an organization, we want to appeal to all of our political leaders to ensure that this culture of disrespect and violent communication that we seemingly want to embrace must be rejected as much as possible, because it does not help. From a peace-building point of view, when a people feel disrespected, they will resort to any actions that would help restore their sense of respect, but also their sense of dignity. In very unfortunate circumstances, they would resort to violence. The Boeing incident that transpired in southern province when President Lungu was there, and the ensuing violent communication that came from PF members is a sign that they felt disrespected and they want to restore a sense of respect. Nonetheless, as SACOD, we believe that retaliation and revenge is not the best option, because violence only breeds violence.
Zitukule Consortium Executive Director Nicholas Piri has called on the Republican president to consider revisiting the idea of a church-led national dialogue among political parties before the 2021 general elections. Mr. Piri says the continued threats among political parties in Zambia might lead to a full-blown disintegration in public and social order. Constance Mwemba brings us this report.
Zitukule Consortium Executive Director Nicholas Piri says Zambia missed a golden opportunity to hold a sincere and genuine national dialogue facilitated by the church. He says a genuine dialogue would have created a firm foundation for an environment of tolerance and civility among political competitors, especially as the country heads into 2021 general elections. Nicholas Piri told Camnet TV President Edgar Lungu should consider revisiting the idea of the church-led national dialogue among political players before 2021 general elections or risk a full-blown disintegration in the public and social order.
As our democracy come to such a low stage that even booing now has become a crime. And in this regard, we would like to call upon the head of state to prevail over his party supporters and party officials who are clearly making a storm in a cup of tea by declaring certain areas of the country as no-go zone areas because of what transpired in Mose. We think that such a stance is not helpful, and the president as a leader must prevail over them and make it very clear that he does not support such a stance. We note that as we go into 2021 general elections, the stakes are high, but Zambia has always been known as a country of political tolerance, as a country of civility, and this is a legacy that we have built for ourselves. It is now up to the president, Edgar Lungu, to ensure that it becomes part of his legacy that he presided over a country which was more civil in engaging in politics and more tolerant. Otherwise, the trend which we have seen emerging now, developing now, is not safe. If this country goes on flames, it does not only endanger those in opposition, but even the legacy of the president is at risk, even the supporters of the Patriotic Front are at risk, and the whole citizenry is at risk.
Recently, we have seen so much threats coming from both the opposition and the ruling party, especially on the topic of booing the Republican president in Monza district of Southern Province. Mr. Piri says those who in 2016 stood in the way of the genuine national dialogue are the same ones today who are fueling a volatile political environment ahead of the 2021 general elections. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Ministry of National Development Planning has announced that it has received 8,520 tablets for use in the 2020 National Census of Population and Housing. Announcing on Friday 10th July 2020, Ministry Permanent Secretary Chola Chabala, in a speech read on his behalf by the ministry's spokesperson Chibaola Silwamba, says the supplier this week delivered 8,520 tablets of the 30,000 tablets that the government purchased for enumerators' use in the first ever e-census. Mr. Silwamba says more tablets are expected to be delivered over the weekend and the remainder in the coming weeks. He said the 2020 census will be the first of its kind to be conducted using electronic data collection methodology. The permanent secretary added that the use of tablets would enhance real-time monitoring of fieldwork, thereby minimize errors and help speed up processing of results. Mr. Silwamba says the census will be conducted within the framework of the international standards, adding that results of the 2020 Census of Population and Housing will be cardinal and in informing the formulation of the 8th National Development Plan for the country.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of National Development Planning, in charge of Development Planning and Administration, Mr. Chola Chabala, would like to inform members of the public that in line with government's commitment to ensure that we conduct a successful census this year, the government of the Republic of Zambia has purchased 30,000 tablets that will be used in this undertaking, of which we have received 8,520 this week, These tablets have been received at the Zambia Statistics Agency, and we expect some more this weekend. And the remainder is expected in the shortest possible time in readiness for the census 2020. As members of the public may wish to know, the results that come from census are very important in terms of our planning for development of this country and indeed implementation. And this information is very useful to the government, the private sector, civil society, to the cooperating partners, and even us as individuals in our households to be able to know how we plan, how we put things in place for our own good. And therefore, the government found it worthy that we use electronic mode of collection of data to ensure that the process is done quickly. With the enumerators will go in the field with these tablets to collect information, and this information will quickly be processed and put together and disseminated to the members of the public and indeed all interested stakeholders.
We now take a break. We'll be back shortly for more news after this.
You know I can take her a break.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
You're still watching Camnet TV News. Camnet, not just another channel. And now the rest of the news. In international news, Democratic presidential contender Mr. Biden, Democratic presidential contender Joe Biden has laid out his rescue plan for the coronavirus-crippled U.S. economy while berating President Donald Trump as incompetent. Mr. Biden says his $700 billion plan would be the biggest investments in the U.S. economy since World War II. The Build Back Better agenda, he said, would spur a manufacturing and technology jobs boom. The Trump campaign responded that the plan would inflict catastrophe. Mr. Biden is all but guaranteed to face off with Mr. Trump in this November's presidential election. Speaking at a metalworks firm near his childhood hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania on Thursday, Mr. Biden says the president's failure had come with a terrible human cost and a deep economic toll. Time and again, working families are paying the price for the administration's incompetence. Mr. Biden says November's election is expected to be dominated by the coronavirus pandemic and its economic fallout, which has pushed tens of millions of Americans into unemployment. More than 130,000 people have died with the virus. And finally, in sports news, President Edgar Lungu says he is hopeful that football stakeholders will resolve their differences before today's FIFA deadline, which will see Zambia's banned from football activities. According to a statement released to the media by his Special Assistant for Press and Public Relations, Isaac Chipambe, President Lungu, who is a FAR's patron, is concerned with that football continues to be brought with wrangles, and today directed Presidential Affairs Minister Freedom Sikazwe to chair a meeting called by Youth and Sports Minister Emmanuel Mlenga between FARS and Mr. Damiano Mtale, who was stopped from contesting FARS elections. Mr. Mtale has since sued FARS. The president has emphasized that government will not interfere in the administration of football, and all he wants is to see to it that Zambia is not punished by FIFA, so that Zambians continue to enjoy the game they love. The meeting held at the Ministry of Sports was attended by FARS President Andrew Kamanga, FARS officials and lawyers for Mr. Mtale. We've come to the end of the news. A recap of the top stories. Ndola Teaching Hospital allegedly runs out of accessories to treat kidney failure. SACOT calls for respect among political players. TIZ worried with too many inconclusive corruption cases. In international news, Biden challenges Trump with Buy American economic plan. In sports news, President Lungu urges FARS to resolve differences before FARS deadline. And the Camnet TV news verse of the day is coming from the book of 1 John 4 verse 4, and it reads, "Ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world." This has been Namwenga Mwenga. Until next time, good evening and God bless you.